7 after 3 here on FAN. Time to say good morning to our pal Rich Mancuso, our wrestling expert. Hi, Rich.
Jody, welcome back.
Thank you much. Welcome me back. How about welcome you back?
Yeah, well, we were a little under the weather last week, and that's because probably I was deciding how me and you would get on the grudge match together to decide our dinner bets.
Oh, no, that's not going to happen, pal. You're going to have to pay up for that sooner or later, but it'll probably be later. Yeah, I had a week off, and you took a week off, so it's been a couple of weeks, so we got a good pile of letters to get to, and we'll open up the phones a little later for wrestling fans. First and foremost, starting with the WWF, I didn't see it, but you tell me Vince McMahon actually got involved in a match?
Remarkable. First time he's ever did this, and it's the talk of the wrestling world because Vince McMahon is obviously getting involved. Something that you've never seen the WWF do, where the owner of the WWF, the president, the owner, Vince McMahon, gets stretched out, carried out on a stretcher towards the end of the show on Superstars of Wrestling. No doubt about it, it's unprecedented in the WWF, and I would say a well-done thing. What happened was the altercation, Ric Flair making headways real fast in WWF and challenging Piper, comes right up to the TV set. Piper's not supposed to get involved in any altercations because of his contract as a TV announcer. He's trying to hold back his temper, and Flair took the shot, and then Piper grabbed a chair, and in the ensuing melee out at off the broadcast podium, Piper accidentally hits McMahon with the chair. McMahon gets decked, and Piper's down, McMahon is down, and they carry McMahon out in the stretcher towards the end, leaving you guessing what's going to happen the next week. There's no word on McMahon's status, whether he'll be back broadcasting next week. I would say he'd have to be, but they leave you guessing, and they also did it very well. I would say it's one of the best things they've ever done in the history since they started television in 1984 to this magnitude. And it leaves a lot of questions too, Jody, as far as how Vince McMahon now gets involved with his own promotion. Some people may criticize it. Should he have gone that far, and being that he's in charge of WWF, whether he should have been allowed to carry it out on the stretcher? And others will say, yeah, it was good. And I think it was good because it's never happened before in the WWF, and McMahon's taking chances, and I think he's going to succeed at that one, what happened.
Do you think that this entire setup was put forth to get Piper back into the ring, or do you actually think this would signify that Vince is really getting involved and that he may don the tights?
Yeah, he could either don the tights or he could referee. There have been rumors the last few years that McMahon would get in there somehow against Jesse the Body when they were going at it in the announcing booth. But it's definitely setting up a feud right away between Piper and Ric Flair, who are very good friends. They go back years, two of them, and they've had some great matches in the past before. And then, of course, after Piper gets done with Flair, Hulk Hogan will go after Flair. Hogan on hiatus right now. It's going to be Hogan Flair starting the 25th of October in California, and then that will continue around the country, and most likely at the Survivor Series, Hogan could have Flair, or Hogan could have The Undertaker, which I think that would be the scene that they'll do. But it's setting up Flair and Piper right away as Hogan goes on hiatus.
Piper used to wrestle in the WCW?
In the old NWA? Years ago, yeah.
Oh, I've never seen a Piper Flair match.
Yeah, they had some battles, and also down in Florida when Flair was down in Florida. And they're the best of friends. They both know each other very well, and they've had some brawls, and that's the type of match you'll see between these two.
probably be a pretty good match. Now, has Flair wrestled at all yet?
No, he hasn't. But this coming week, he will officially start around the country again against Piper. The anticipation is there for this match. Basically, the anticipation because of Ric Flair's entrance in the WWF. But I'll tell you, the fans are really buzzing and anticipating the Flair-Hogan confrontations. I think the box offices are going to sell out, and it's going to do very well for the WWF as far as Flair-Hogan when they start up at the end of October. It was a move that I always said was going to come eventually, and sure enough, it's here. And I think the fans are going for it. They've been reacting to fans around the country, and numerous shows. Already the show in Oakland for the 25th between Flair and Hogan is sold out, and the one in the LA Sports Arena on the 26th, the next night between Flair and Hogan as the main event, is close to a sellout. So if that continued, the WWF definitely made the right move in getting Ric Flair.
Now, do you think that this could potentially put Hogan's inevitable retirement in the background? If he and Flair are that hot, do you think it could potentially change Hogan's mind and have him stay with the WWF?
Well, you never know what Hulk Hogan wants to do. You never know, because the man just loves fans cheering for him, and this match is going to draw so much interest. He may want to stay a little more. But I think with his Hollywood commitments and the way it looks, it's something like he has 3 more movies to do in the next year. And that definitely is going to be a heavy load for him between wrestling and Hollywood. I think he's opting more towards Hollywood at this point. If you ask me, I'm looking for Hogan to retire at WrestleMania, and possibly against Ric Flair. And I don't know if that would be a title versus title situation. Again, there's talk about a main event at the Survivor Series being The Undertaker against Hulk Hogan. And if that indeed is the situation, I'm looking for The Undertaker to take the belt from Hogan at the Survivor Series, which would set up a WrestleMania match between The Undertaker and Sid Justice, where Justice, again, this all changes depending on Hulk Hogan's plans for the future. And then if that goes on, if you do have an Undertaker Justice match for the title, then you have to put Hogan in against Flair, and possibly being Hogan's retirement match, he'll pin Flair and retire him, walk away from it. It looks like that right now from just looking at the picture, the way things are going in the next few months. In particular, again, if the Undertaker-Hogan match does take place at the Survivor Series.
Yeah, but do you think that they'd want that the build-up to Hogan-Flair and have it be such a big match and then not have it be for a title?
Well, you look at it this way. If they want to do Hogan-Flair WrestleMania underneath Justice the Undertaker, and they advertise it as a Hulk Hogan retirement match in his final match, that is going to be the top WrestleMania and top wrestling event ever. Just as big as Tyson Holyfield will be next in November. You can't do any better than that, because you have the success of the Hulk Hogan in there at WrestleMania, going for the title, no doubt about it, he would win it. And you have Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan with the retirement match, and the fans are going to want to see Hulk Hogan, if that's his retirement match, prevail and go out a winner. So I think that would break records at the box office, on pay-per-view. It would do very well, and I'm calling for this right now. If the plans stay the way they are with Undertaker Hogan for the Survivor Series.
You've got Justice in there fighting for a championship. How has he done so far in the ring? I haven't had a chance to catch many WWF shows lately. I saw him in his action as a referee. How's he done as a wrestler? How's he done in the ring?
Well, he's wrestling Jake the Snake Roberts right now. They'll be at the Nassau Coliseum next weekend. That's the main event at the Nassau Coliseum. And they've been good matches. Sid Justice has gone through the interference route because the Undertaker is also involved and interferes in the matches. We really haven't seen Justice do what he can do yet, and that's because he's not the champion yet. But little by little, once Hulk Hogan fades away, you'll see the talent come out in Sid Justice. He's going to be the next Hulk Hogan, no doubt about that. And, fans again in the area can catch what Sid Justice is all about next weekend at the Nassau Coliseum.
How are the fans handling Jake the Snake Roberts as a villain? I thought that he was a very popular, good guy for the longest period of time. Are they handling him okay? Are they still not cheering for him as a bad guy?
Oh, they're not cheering for him at all. This is something Jake wanted to do. Jake never really wanted to be a good guy. He felt being a bad guy was his image, and that's what he wanted, and his wish was granted. He's a bad guy again. And the fans, he was very popular with the fans, and at one time got the boos, so he's used to it, and the fans were used to it. And just like anything in professional wrestling, it's just an adjustment for the fans again, and they just have to accept this. But the good thing about this, with Jake the Snake going bad, is that you got a guy like Sergeant Slaughter now all of a sudden who's pleading for mercy and wants the fans to, he's looking for sympathy and trying to apologize to America for his recent actions the last few months. So it's always one guy going bad, one guy turning good. That's always the scene in professional wrestling.
Two former champions. Tell me about their whereabouts, when they're going to start wrestling again, if they're ever going to start wrestling again in the WWF. Macho Man Savage and the Ultimate Warrior.
Good question. It's been coming up. As far as the Ultimate Warrior status, the 90-day suspension period, or the 90-day period where he can't wrestle in the WWF again, is very similar to what happened to Rick Rude's situation in the WWF. But Rick Rude, again, that was more of a year. The Warrior's only 90 days. The Warrior has not been heard from. Nobody's been able to contact him. The last reports I got were that the Ultimate Warrior was home in Phoenix, Arizona, contemplating retirement. Now, when we last talked 2 weeks ago, Jody, I had felt that was a little too premature to make that hasty decision. I think he'll be back. I think this thing will be resolved with the WWF. The Ultimate Warrior will be back. And you won't see him in the WCW because I don't think the WWF would let that happen. And I don't think he's going to retire. As far as Randy Macho Man Savage, he is not too keen on returning on a full-time basis and wrestling actively 4 or 5 nights a week. And Randy is looking to get a similar contract that Hogan has and so forth. And that's creating problems with Savage and the WWF. So for the moment, Savage is still under probation time there, where he's just a broadcaster and not a wrestler. We all know he's wrestled already. He filled in for Hogan in matches against Sergeant Slaughter the last few months. The Macho Man will be back in there, but it will not be on a full-time basis. That's not what he wants, and the WWF doesn't want to lose this guy by all means.
20 minutes after 3 here on FAN. Jody Mack and Rich Mancuso talking wrestling on your all-sports radio station in New York. If you've got a wrestling question for Rich, you can buzz through. We'll open up the lines now at 718-937-6666. After this short fan timeout, we'll come back and discuss the state of the WCW. Get to the letters for those of you who've taken pen to paper and written in with the wrestling queries. And we'll take it all the way up to 4 o'clock. World of Grappling here on the Fan.
Hey, Met fans, follow your team all year round here on the Fan. Sports Radio 66, WFAN, New York.
Sports Radio 66, WFAN, New York.
22 minutes after 3. Good morning, everybody, on a little bit of a chilly Saturday night. Fall has arrived, as has Rich Mancuso here on the Fan. We're talking wrestling for you. Richard, WCW, I know we haven't been together for a couple of weeks, so we've got to go back and check out the Clash of Champions that came down on September 5th. I know the ratings weren't good, but you kind of liked the show.
I like the show because Dusty Rhodes did some things in the past that succeeded. In particular, the return of Cactus Jack to the WCW. I think that's helped them a little bit. Cactus Jack is an exciting wrestler. He does things that you see in the WWF and can turn things around. And there's no doubt about it, definite, he's put an added spark into the WCW promotion. Cactus Jack's appearance in the Clash helped that show and renewed some interest. Also, the way they played the angle with the box. I like what Dusty's doing with the surprise boxes that Sting is getting, supposedly being sent from Lex Luger to set up the Luger-Sting confrontations, which will be coming up pretty soon. And I like what they did with the contract signing for the Simmons-Luger match at Halloween Havoc. It had that array of an old professional boxing contract signing for a championship match, and it was done superbly. So 2 good points out of that show. And the return of Brian Pillman finally at the Clash. Added justice here. Brian Pillman no longer the yellow dog, and Brian Pillman's finally going to get his chance at a championship. At Halloween Havoc, he'll wrestle for the light heavyweight title against Ricky Morton. The ratings weren't good, and that was expected because the card on paper didn't look good. But I think as a result of the Clash, Halloween Havoc gets an added push.
A couple of points on the things that you've already mentioned. Can Dusty possibly dig himself out of the hole that we all think that he's in the WCW?
He has a chance, and one of the reasons he has a chance was the smart move in getting Cactus Jack back into action. Now he has to do added chances and go strong with this Lex Luger-Ron Simmons match in Halloween Havoc, which is going to be a 2 out of 3 fall situation. One thing that could hurt Dusty again is Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner is out of action. They're advertising him to be at Halloween Havoc, to be with his brother Rick and other guys for this Chamber of Horrors maze match, which they haven't announced really what this match is all about, what the stipulations are and things like that. And the fact that Scott Steiner, they're saying he's going to return, Scott Steiner is denying that he'd be able to return. He's not healthy enough yet to go back into action. And the one-man gang is no longer with them. He just walked out of the promotion again, or they let him go over differences of opinion. He's supposed to be in that Chamber of Horrors maze match. And another thing that's perplexing the fans, and that this could be another ploy by Dusty to maybe do something with Barry Windham. Barry Windham is slated to be in that Chambers of Horrors match on the side of Oz, Diamond Stud, the one-man gang, and Cactus Jack. But Barry Windham has been wrestling Lex Luger for the title, so it's perplexing what they're doing with Barry Windham. This past week, they admitted, the WCW did, that they made a mistake, that Barry Windham is not in that match. So we have to see how they handle that situation.
What are they trying to do with Windham?
I don't know. At first, going against Lex Luger, you'd think that Barry Windham's getting the push and could possibly be a champion and instead of Sting, and I think Barry Windham deserves it and would be a good champion. right now, again, it's perplexing what Barry Windham's status is, because if he indeed is going to be in the Chamber of Horrors maze match at Halloween Havoc on the other side of the fence, it brings up a lot of questions. Barry Windham would make a good U.S. champion right now, and I think that they should go with a Barry Windham Sting match. That would be a good match. I think they should keep Barry Windham as a heel and let him wrestle Sting for the U.S. title, but from all indications, that's not what they're going to do. They're going to go with Sting and Luger in the next few months again, and Barry Windham is put on the side. And to tell you the truth, I don't know how to read that one.
Is there any new, good, young, and up-and-coming tag team in the WCW that they're going to be looking to highlight over the next couple of months?
No, not really. With the exception of the Patriots, the enforcers of Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko have been getting a lot of attention. Now, at Halloween Havoc, they are facing the Patriots for the WCW tag titles. The enforcers is an interesting situation because the fans are rooting. They're not rooting for the Patriots. They're rooting for the enforcers, and they're not rooting for Larry Zbyszko. The fans are rooting for AA Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson has always been an extremely popular wrestler, both in the WWF when he was one of the Brainbusters and in the WCW and the NWA. And now he's got Larry Zbyszko as a partner, and they're wrestling for this tag title Halloween Havoc. But this match right now with the Enforcers against the Patriots, the fans seem to be rooting for the Enforcers because of Arn Anderson. So another crazy situation there.
Larry Zbyszko hasn't been the same since he left Tony Gurria's side, as far as I'm concerned.
That's right. He never has recovered from it.
Former tag team champions in the WWF. 28 minutes after 3 here on The Fan. McMahon with you, Rich Mancuso with us. Get to the phones if you got a wrestling question for Rich. 718-937-6666. Through the miracle of Ma Bell. We'll talk wrestling tonight, and or through the miracle of the U.S. Postal Service, through rain, sleet, snow, or whatever else. We've gotten 2 weeks worth of letters, so we're backlogged a little. We go to the letters after Johnny Fossey gets us caught up in everything in the world of sports.
Sports Radio 66. The Fan. WFAN.
Hi, this is Telly Savalas. If you're like me and you love the good life, excitement, and VIP treatment, you listen closely to this offer from Players Club.
Minutes in front of 4 here on FAN. No, between 3 and 4 on Saturday night / Sunday mornings. We talk wrestling, and we do so with our pal Rich Mancuso. If you've got something to say, you want to be an active participant in tonight's show, you can do so one of 2 ways. You can write us a letter or give us a call. If the latter is your choice, 718-937-6666 is your number. Richie, you and I were out a week apiece for the last 2 weeks, so we've got a couple of letters to get to, and let's get right to it. First question from Vinny, Robert, and Rob. How does the WCW expect to win back any fans by giving the likes of Big Josh and the Patriots belts? Do you think it's these type of wrestlers bringing down the promotion?
No, it's not. You got to take a chance. Any desperate thing you can do. Actually, the Patriots aren't that bad of a team.
Okay, Adam Fishbaum has 2 questions. Is there any possibility of Ric Flair throwing the match in WrestleMania to prove he's better than Hogan, since there's no way that Hogan can't lose?
No, again, if they do what I discussed earlier, you've got to do a retirement match. Hogan has to win that.
Is Big Billy Busick formerly the missing link?
No.
Okay, no relation. Next up is Chris Oppie from Stores, Connecticut. What are the dates and arenas for the Royal Rumble and the Survivor Series?
Well, Survivor Series is going to be Thanksgiving Eve, and that'll be November 22nd, the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. And the Royal Rumble, January 21st in Albany, New York at the Knickerbocker Arena.
Okay. If Hulk Hogan retires after WrestleMania 8, will he make a quick return if Flair and Justice are unable to draw the big crowd?
I don't think so. I think that'll be it, and Hollywood would be his full-time thing.
Will Piper be wrestling full-time when he returns to fight Flair, or is this just a temporary return to the ring to help build up Flair's image?
That's exactly it. It's going to be a temporary thing.
Okay. Hulk, the Heartbreaker from Freehold. I heard a rumor that the Nasty Boys, Power and Glory, Jimmy Snuka, and Mr. Perfect all were fired from the WWF. Can you confirm or deny?
No truth to it at all. Power and Glory, there is talk about them being relieved, but that's not official.
Okay, where is Danny Spivey these days?
Danny's been, if he's not with Herb Abrams, UWF, he's either in Japan or wrestling on the independent circuit.
From my buddy Steve Cohen in Fairview, New Jersey, this question arrives. Heard at Halloween Havoc there will be a match of PN News and Big Josh versus the Creatures. Who are the Creatures?
Yeah, we don't know. Nobody knows who the Creatures are. That's another thing Dusty Rhodes is doing to spark a lot of interest. And it is a big question, who are the Creatures? Nobody knows.
Okay, we got a couple of letters from the Pro Boys. First one from a couple weeks back. They welcome me back. Who is likely to be Lex Luger's next main opponent after the total package finishes off Ron Simmons?
Oh, no doubt, Sting.
Are there any belts in the future for Cactus Jack?
Possibly U.S. title.
Why isn't the WWF going to mention Mr. Perfect now that he's out for a year? Isn't he still part of the company?
He is, but basically he isn't. He has to take a year off. He has a severe back injury. And if they mention Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, you really can't work him into anything because he can't perform. It had nothing to do with a contract. The man is really hurt.
What will Lex Luger's belt be now, WCW or NWA?
WCW.
Okay, and we have another question along those lines, but we'll get to that in a minute. Oh, here we go. Is WCW changing its name back to the NWA because they are trying to regain respect, or in an attempt to reacquire Ric Flair's world title?
Well, it's a combination of both. They're trying to get back at Flair because he has the NWA belt. That is his. If Flair claims he owns that belt, they say no. They may go to court with this, may go to litigation with it. And Jim Herd was just named head of the NWA also. So it's very confusing, but they're still going to be known as the WCW.
Okay, Chris from Branford, Connecticut has a couple questions. Why did Jesse Ventura decide to get involved with a horrible show like the Grudge match when he could have come back to the WWF?
Well, he still got some bitter animosity with Titan and WWF over why he left. When you look at it, he must be making good money with that ridiculous show. He's also a football commentator, and he's got Hollywood and TV and other commercials and other things. He really doesn't need the WWF as much as I'm sure they would love to have him.
Was the Ultimate Warrior's relatively unsuccessful reign as champion part of the reason why Vince McMahon ousted him? Our letter writer thinks that he's one of the better wrestlers that McMahon had in terms of making money for.
Well, I don't think that worked. Marketing-wise, I don't think it worked at all when he was the champion. He was popular, he had the fans, but not that popular enough to be a Hulk Hogan. They had to look at Sid Justice. That's why they brought Sid in. And, no, the reason he left, there's a lot of rumors as to what happened. Contract or failure of a steroid test. And like I said earlier, he's not been heard from, and we don't know what's going to happen after the 90-day period.
Next up, Joe from Mount Vernon. Rich, do you think that Ric Flair will ever win the WWF World title?
No, I don't.
Where is Ron Bass these days?
Ron's retired out of professional wrestling.
How about Jimmy Jack Funk?
Jimmy Jack has been wrestling for Joe Pedicino.
All right, Bob LaRocca from Hatboro, PA. I'd like to know, Rich. Let me get this again. Appreciate very much if you could give me the results of the Clash of Champions Fall Brawl.
Okay, I'll do this as quick as possible. The Battle Royal was won by El Gigante. Brian Pillman won against Bad Street. Sting beat Johnny B. Bad. And Van Hammer took Terrence Taylor. He's the lookalike of the Ultimate Warrior in the WCW. Steve Austin beat the Z-Man. And the Enforcers beat Rick Steiner and Bill Kazmir.
And you also want to know if you knew any of the matches upcoming from WrestleMania, but I think that's well too far in advance to even guess.
Oh, yes, it is.
Matt from Hempstead's got a funny question for you. Do you see the $1 Million Man and Sherry getting married, then have a mixed tag team match with Elizabeth and Macho Man, the loser, getting divorced?
Yeah, who knows? But I'll tell you, if you look at Sherry with the $1 Million Man as of late, you notice that she's cuddling up to him on the TV screen as of late. So maybe another marriage in the making in the WWF.
Okay, the Lariat from Hackensack, New Jersey, wants to know, now that the WWF has all good guy champions, how long is it before a heel actually wrestles one of those crowns away?
Well, I don't see Bret Hart losing the Intercontinental belt for at least a year. I don't see the Legion of Doom losing those tag titles for another at least a year. So now you're looking at Hogan and The Undertaker, possible Survivor Series. I would have to say Survivor Series title change.
Rich, what are the chances of any of these two wrestlers coming to a major federation? Chris Chavez?
Chris is very happy in Mexico, so I don't think the WCW once in a while has an interest in him, but I don't think he's going.
How about Scott Norton?
Scott Norton is very happy on the independent route. WWF has looked at him, but they didn't take him back, so I don't know.
That comes to us from Andrew Silverstein. Fred Esposito wants to know, do any of the wrestlers listen to this show, and if so, who?
I know Bam Bam Bigelow does, because he's taken exception to my comments of calling him a punk from Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Right.
I don't know who else. Cactus Jack has listened occasionally. And Jim Cornette has been a listener as of late. In fact, I tried to get him on with us tonight, but didn't return the call, so we'll see what we can do next week.
We'll try and get him on a little bit later. Have there been any recent locker room altercations, bad blood between wrestlers in federations?
No, I haven't heard of any.
Okay, and last but not least, a couple of Where Are They Nows from Joe from Mount Vernon. Where is Robert Gibson heading since he's left the WCW?
Well, Robert is going to try doing some work in Japan, and I'm sure he'll be back in the WCW.
How about Raymond Rougeau?
Raymond Rougeau is wrestling up in Canada.
And the model Rick Martel.
And Rick will be back in the WWF by the Survivor Series.
3:45 here on The Fan. That takes care of the letters that we've received this week. If you want to take the time to write us a letter here on the Wrestling Hour, do so. Send it to yours truly at WFAN 34-12 36th Street in Astoria, New York. Zip code 11106. We take your letters and your phone calls each and every week. The phones are next. Get to them, 718-937-6666.
When it comes to sports, we're the leader. Everybody else follows the fan. Sports Radio 66, WFAN, New York.
Today and every Sunday, Crawdaddy Sports Bar in Amityville presents Sunday Football. See all the Sunday...
So you think you know sports, eh? And wrestling doesn't count for that. Have you ever dreamed about being a sportscaster? Huh? If you know the difference between a post pattern and a pick and roll, the blue line from the 50-yard line, Then call the Connecticut School of Broadcasting in Stratford, Connecticut, or Rochelle Park, New Jersey. They won't teach you the rules of the game, but if you know sports, they can train you to be a sportscaster. Of course, on your first job, you'll probably have to do more than just sports, maybe news, commercials, or a DJ shift, but you'll be on your way to being on the air as a radio or TV sportscaster. Call the Connecticut School of Broadcasting now at area code 203-378-5155. That's for the Connecticut School of Broadcasting in Stratford, Connecticut. Or call the Connecticut School of Broadcasting in Rochelle Park, New Jersey, which is just 10 minutes from the GW Bridge. You make the call, 201-587-1212. For the past 26 years, the Connecticut School of Broadcasting has placed thousands of grads at radio and TV stations from coast to coast. 201-587-1212. Make 1991 your year at the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. Classes that begin in late October can put you on the air by February. McMahon on the Fan with Rich Man talking wrestling with you. Richard, let's get to the phones. Leslie from the Bronx, you're on FAN.
Hello, excuse me. I'd like to know why is Hogan and Flair fighting so soon? I thought they should have waited till WrestleMania 8. Oh no, you can't wait that long because if you're gonna do Flair Hogan for WrestleMania, you got to build it up, and no, I don't think it's too soon. We're already into October almost, and before you know it, WrestleMania will be here. I thought they should have hyped it up at Royal Rumble, and then like they did Hogan and Warrior. Here's the difference. You don't have the NBC Saturday Night Main Event or a primetime contract with the WWF. That had a lot of bearing on it. Also, what is the situation with Tito Santana? Is he going to turn bad or something? Yeah, he's going to be the matador and total change in his image.
Really? He's not going to be a babyface?
No.
Wow, that comes as a surprise. I think it's a mistake, too. Leslie, thanks for the call. Anthony from Staten Island, you're on FAN.
Hey, Jody?
Yes.
I have a question for Rich about the Survivor Series.
Go ahead.
Yes.
This makes you so. My friends and I are both avid wrestling fans, and we remember a few years back the WWF Survivor Series had tag team Survivor Series.
Yeah.
We were running through the tag teams in our minds, and they couldn't do that this year unless they possibly had an introduction of a couple of more fan favorite teams. Do you see that happening, or?
Well, here, let me fill you in, Anthony. Just basically, two teams have been set for the Survivor Series. You have on one side Sid Vicious, Big Boss Man, Legion of Doom against Jake the Snake, IRS, and the Natural Disasters. And on the another team, you have Piper, Bret Hart, Virgil, and Davey Boy Smith against Flair, DiBiase, Warlord, and the Mountie. And like they did last year with that elimination match, they're not going to do it this year. They felt that wasn't very successful.
I didn't enjoy that as much myself. But do you see any with the tag team, them setting up like Power and Glory? And
they would have to. They'd have to utilize as many of their tag teams as they have because the Survivor Series is a tag type elimination series event. But again, Power and Glory status right now, as we mentioned earlier, is pretty skeptical.
And could you tell me if there are any plans for Conan Chris Walker to be coming around to the WWF?
Conan was supposed to be in by now, but he has his contract in Mexico. He has a heavy load of work there. He's decided to extend his stay in Mexico, and he's open to come in WWF anytime he wants. As far as Chris, I don't know what that status is with him.
Tony, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Some good questions. Lenny from Brooklyn, you're next on FAN with Rich Mancuso.
Yes, on the Clash there was a wrestler called Van Hammer. Yeah. He looked so much like the Warrior. Was it possible that the Warrior's in the WCW now? Yeah, that's a rumor, a heavy rumor that was him, but no, it wasn't. And as far as him coming to the WCW, there was a big rumor about that last week that he was signed, sealed, and delivered. That is absolutely untrue. You would not see that happen with the contract he has in the WWF. And the WWF would not make a mistake like that. and let the Ultimate Warrior escape. They've already stated through their press office that the Ultimate Warrior will go nowhere for 90 days, in particular to the WCW.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Lenny, thank you for the call. Vincent from Brooklyn, you're on FAN.
Yeah, I got two quick questions. One, now that McMahon has taken basically everybody's wrestlers out of their stable, like the WCW, all the superstars, who do you see him going after next? Anywhere?
I gotta see him looking at Sting or Luger, or even one of the Steiners, or both of them. And out of the group I mentioned, I would think the Steiners to the WWF as soon as their contract runs out.
And when do Sting and Luger's contracts run out?
They at least have another year or a half or so left on theirs. The Steiners a little less. And I'm pretty sure McMahon will make a big push to get the Steiners to come there.
And do you see him going after anybody else in any other possible federation?
Well, he could start looking at Pedicino's group as it develops. I know that WWF likes Del Wilkes, the Patriot. They're impressed with him. And I'll tell you, if the WCW isn't careful in the way Cactus Jack is performing and getting a big push there and looking better and better, they better watch that, because Cactus Jack doesn't make the jump to the WWF.
Good point. Vincent, thank you for the call. Willie's calling in from Cleveland. Hi, Willie. You're on FAN.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
I was listening to the show, and it sort of faded in and out at the beginning of the hour, and you said something about Vince McMahon interfering in the match?
No, McMahon got taken out on a stretcher on television.
Oh, wow.
He accidentally got hit by a chair. Piper was getting a chair at Ric Flair, and McMahon got in the middle of it. And he ended up getting carried out in a stretcher.
Also, how come Bruno Sammartino was back wrestling again? That's terrible. I thought he had a career-ending injury.
Bruno Sammartino?
Yeah, is he back wrestling again?
No, Bruno's just doing announcing duties for the UWF as of late, and I think he just signed to do another little independent somewhere. And, he just felt that he had enough of it, and he was old enough to get out of it in time.
Yeah, I thought he could, because did he hurt his back or something?
He had numerous back injuries. He even suffered a broken neck at one time in his career. Legitimate injuries, too.
One final question. How come the Junkyard Dog isn't really being pushed any longer? Has he just lost his popularity? He's pretty popular.
Well, you look at him, and I think his demise occurred when he went to the WCW. I mean, he put on so much weight and lost so much ability and agility in the ring that they let him go. Right now, I would say he's good for an independent, for the independents to use.
Okay. Nice talking to you, fellas.
All right, thank you for the call. Larry from the Bronx, you're on Sports Radio 66.
How you guys doing?
Good.
I have two quick questions. I want to know if there are any potential tag teams that are going to be coming in the WWF soon.
Haven't heard of any. Again, I would say that the Steiners contract, that's a team that you'd have to look for to go to the WWF. Other than that, nothing that I have heard of.
Okay, and is there a big possibility that Sid Justice will be strong enough to hold Federation like Hogan did?
That's your next Hulk Hogan, and I think he's going to succeed at it. I really do.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for the call. Let's talk to Roger from Brooklyn. Hi, Roger on FAN.
Hello?
Yes. Is this Roger? Who's this? Apparently, well, let's put him back on hold and see if we can find out who's on line 3. It looks like we've just about run out of guests here, Richard, for the evening. We'll lose him. What the heck? Rich, we got any independent shows coming up here in the next couple of weeks? No, but what did I do? Did I lose Richie? Maybe I lost Richie, too. All right, well, then we'll just call it quits for the evening here at 4 minutes in front of 4. We'll thank Richie if he's got any independent shows. He'll pass them along to me during the timeout. All right, we got Richie back again. All right, Rich.
Jody, you're going to end up in the grudge match with me.
I don't know what happened. Eddie's in there on the phone with his girlfriend. We don't have callers. We're lost. What's on the line for the independent shows coming up? Oh, did I punch up his girlfriend too? Oh, this is beautiful. Now we got Eddie's girlfriend and Richie on the air at the same time. All right, let's wrap things up here. We're going to put everybody on hold for the night. We got 3 minutes in front of 4. Let's rock and roll and just go home. And Ligori's coming up at 4. We'll get Richie and the Independents coming up in the next couple of weeks where they've got wrestling to go. And then we'll see what Ann's got coming up at 4 o'clock as well. Thanks to Rich for coming on and talking wrestling with us. And also thanks to everybody who buzzed through this evening. McMahon with you coming up on 4 o'clock. Stay with us. Closely's got the latest sports update for you.